Is this thing on?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our Voice podcast. Today, we have as a guest Kevin Biggs, who is the manager of athletics in Shack, with us, and we are very happy to have you here on the podcast today.
Well, thank you very
How
much
are
for
you,
having me.
Kevin?
Sorry?
How are you doing, Kevin?
Oh, very well. I was just saying before we got started here, I've been in interviews all day. So this is not my normal attire. I'm normally much more dressed comfortable for for the job, especially working from home. So it's a little different for me, but it's nice to dress up every once in a while.
Now, I have a question. Are you going for the Zoom official outfit of like business top and shorts at the bottom, or did you go full suit today?
No, but a little bit of a hybrid. I am wearing
Okay.
pants, somewhat dress pants, but sports socks and slippers. So not quite shorts and Crocs, but
Yeah,
the bottom half is definitely dressed for comfort.
I feel that. I did an interview for my placement back in the fall, and it was like, yeah, full suit and tie up top, and I was like, yeah, we're going with Green Bay Packers slippers on the bottom. Don't even care.
I've seen some clips online of some people stepping out. Their kid walks into the room in an interview or something, and they get up and they're wearing like shorts and sandals or whatever. And then the other people that get up and they're all wearing the same outfit too. So we've quickly learned through all of this is you're presentable, but you're dressed for comfort at the end of the day.
I think this is the part and parcel of pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
So, Kevin, I would like to know something about you. Are you an SLC graduate?
I am. Yeah. Good year. When did I graduate? A long time ago. I took the 2-year business marketing program at St. Lawrence College. Coming out of high school, I wasn't too sure where I was going to go with my career. I was always interested in marketing and business. So I started that. Both of my parents are alum of St. Lawrence College as well. So I figured might as well get started here. And see where it goes. After the first year, decided to focus on marketing, which confirmed my interests, and then met some new friends and gotten exposed to some volunteer opportunities with the Frontex and some other sports locally. And then I volunteered my first night with the Frontex, and I was hooked. I knew from that point on I wanted to be involved in sport. I've played sports most of my life, working in high school and even at college. I was working in sports shops, hockey stores, sharpening skates and this and that. So I found an opportunity to kind of get behind the scenes of a sports team or an event or a facility. I definitely found my calling and pursued it.
That's awesome. It's one of the things I've learned from a lot of people that are going to the business program here at St. Lawrence is that kind of take it because they know it's a good base, and then they find their own path. So the fact that you're able to do that, it's amazing. It's a good testament to what the school kind of prepares us for.
It
So
does.
I think I know the answer here. What's your favorite sport / team?
I'm definitely a hockey guy. I've played for most of my life. I'm a goalie, so I try to be a goalie on Monday nights, but I think we all know how that's probably going. I'm a closet Leaf fan. I think there's more Leaf jerseys than other jerseys in my closet, but honestly, I'm just a fan of the game. I'm a fan of the players. I tend to have I follow certain players and cheer for them. But most of my family cheers for the Leafs, except for my dad, who's a Sens fan. So he's not too happy how I came out being a Leaf fan, but we have a good rivalry back and forth. And obviously follow the Raptors, the Blue Jays. We got to, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think hockey is, I don't know whether you know it or not, but hockey is the national sports of India. So I think when many international students here would be like, yay,
No.
you're very good at hockey.
Well, it's good to know. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, it is. So I'm a very movie geek, as everybody now know. I know a lot of movies. So I would like to ask, is there any movie you're currently watching or you liked a lot?
Oh, good question. I'm not a big movie guy. However, I recently wanted to watch the Marvel series. So we have Disney Plus. I've got a young family, so we've got all the movies on there. And I came across it. I'm like, I might as well pick away at this. And as I kind of scroll through, there's a lot of Marvel movies I need to catch up on. So this weekend I started watching, I think it's like the second Thor movie.
Nice.
So I'm about 4 or 5 deep and I probably got like 10 or 12 more to go. But yeah, loving those. Yeah, I'm not too picky on movies. It's been a while since I've been to the theater. Obviously, with the pandemic, I've taken my son a couple times. He loves it. But yeah, I'm really into the Marvel series. I'm kind of a sci-fi, Star Wars, Star Trek kind of geeky guy. So I like those. So when I came across the Marvel, I'm like, yeah, I could probably get into this, and I'm hooked.
Yeah, I feel that. I hadn't gone to see a movie in the theaters since before the pandemic. And then we heard we had this last lockdown coming and that new Spider-Man came out. I was like, okay. So my girlfriend and I, we went the last night it was open on cheap night, checked it out. I was like, I do not regret a single second of this. The movie was amazing. I love the Marvel movies. I geek out for them hard. So it was nice to have a little bit of like, oh, this is what going to a movie's like again. I forgot this.
Yeah. Well, when my son and I went last in 2021, we go in there and this big wheel, and we go in there. We want a free popcorn when we walked in, so he's hooked. He always wants to go back now.
That's delightful, man. Those little moments, and it's COVID's been challenging, so it's kind of finding those little things that make it all worth it or make it palatable at least.
Absolutely.
Now, as in your position, you are handling a lot. You're managing a lot of people. Like, what was the process like to shut down the shack when COVID initially hit?
Oh man. Yeah, great question. It was tough. I mean, it's on the one hand, it's easy to do because it's coming from the ministry. Like, there's nothing you can do to kind of balk it. And when it first kind of happened, we were all kind of naive, I guess, looking back at that point. Like, okay, we'll shut down for a few weeks here. We'll all come back, and here we are, February 10th, 2022, and we're still going through this stuff. It's been tough. It really has. I really feel for students going through all of this and services being impacted, and kids and residents too. Like, we heard it all about people wanting to get in there and wanting an exemption and this and that, but it was really hard to hear some of those things and what students are going through and how much the fitness center means to people as an outlet to get some stress out, maintain a healthy physical lifestyle, and it's good for your mental health too. It definitely took a toll on a lot of people. It was hard. It was a tough spot to be put in, but thankfully, by and large, everyone was very understanding. Everyone understood the need to do it. And then saying that, everyone's been great when we have reopened and closed again and reopened again. Like, everyone's kind of gotten used to the rules and how things go. And honestly, I think it's been great. And when we do reopen the doors, they stay open all day because it is a stream of people coming back in. So it's been a roller coaster for sure, but I think we've handled it pretty well, all things considered. There hasn't been a single outbreak to take place tri-campus. With our fitness centers, I think our partner with the YMCA, who staff and operate it, have been great to work with in maintaining everyone's safety. Sorry, I kind of rambled on there. I think I'm going off on your question, probably answering 4 of the questions at the same time. So I'll stop there. But overall, from closing the shack, it was tough, but everyone kind of understood it.
Yeah, I believe that COVID has been hard on each one of us. Each one of us has our own share of, positive things, and then there are negative things. But you're not talking about the shutting down and again reopening this thing. Were there any lessons that you learned when the first shutdown happened that you were able to translate it to now in the 2021 winter intake?
Things I learned from the shack, honestly, we learned after every one of them. We more so learned in the gymnasium on how to try and space people around, but when we first reopened, we had a lot of dialogue with local public health on what we were doing. So the YMCA and their network of all their gyms, like the facility manager that I work with, Brittany, her and I sat down and looked at some of the things that the YMCA across Canada or across Ontario are doing and how we could do that in the shack. So that meant making some tough decisions, like sacrificing the fitness center. Like, we needed a space to put some of this equipment aside so that we could space equipment out 2 meters and move people a little bit more. So we learned that, and that worked out well because public health was very appreciative of that, because a lot of fitness centers don't have that luxury to move equipment around. One thing that we did learn though is we didn't reposition equipment. So we spaced them out a little bit more. But when people came back, no one wanted to do cardio, which was interesting. Everyone was over to the free weights and squat racks. So like a lot of the traffic was all in the free weights, and no one was really spaced out because there were so many people in there. So after a week or two, we had to come in on a weekend and move some of the weight equipment into the cardio area so that it would spread people out a little bit more. So that would be one lesson we for sure learned when we first opened.
That is really interesting. I guess it makes sense, especially because, people are worried with inhalation of particles and things, but it wouldn't have been like the intuitive way I've gone about that, but that's cool. Just as a whole, how has this affected the athletic department and particularly the student athletes? I know it's got to be tough on them.
This has been really tough on student athletes. We've heard from a lot of them that while it's great from a physical health standpoint to be competing and exercising, but it was not surprising to hear the mental toll it took on our athletes and how important the socializing and team bonding meant to them and being a part of a team. The year that sports got canceled, like that was really tough on them. And it was tough on our department as well. We had to completely shift how we engage with our athletes, our teams, and even our students, like to not host any games or do any travel or send our teams off to championships and that was tough. Now this year, thankfully, we had sports back and we had a phenomenal fall with our teams. They crushed it this year. And the staff were able to do some engagement events on campus through the fall with some students on, which was great, kind of easing our way back into it. Normally, all the sports that we offer take place in the fall, and then basketball and hockey and indoor soccer kind of stretch into the winter term. But this year, our governing body split it so that we could focus on certain outdoor sports for the fall and indoor for the winter. And that was really good for our team, that we could not have to worry about trying to do preseason basketball and host basketball at the same time of rugby and soccer going on. Had basketball had started, I think we would have been hosting a gold medal rugby game, soccer the day before, and then basketball. Like there would have been probably a week where we would have been logging some serious hours. But we've bounced back. The team is doing well. A little disheartening coming back into the winter term with everyone going back online again. We were really looking forward to putting on some in-person events, bringing students back. So the team was definitely disappointed that we're kind of back in this again. Thankful that we've got sports going, and hopefully come March 14th, I believe the date is, that we see some more students back on campus.
Now, well, I have just a curious question here, that have any of the varsity athletes been allowed to resume their playing?
Yeah, so we were playing through the fall. So our outdoor soccer teams were playing, rugby played, cross country, golf, all those teams were playing through the fall. And then this term, we have basketball, men's and women's basketball starts this Friday. A little plug, they play host George Brown tomorrow at 6 and 8. Unfortunately, fans can't be there. There's no fans until I think the 21st, the league decided. So we'll be streaming the games, and we'll share those links on social media to get those out. And then I believe the next game we're hosting is the 24th of February. It's a single men's game at 8 p.m. against Fleming. So basketball is up and starting. Badminton has resumed practices as well. They've only got one tournament this year, unfortunately, with the championships. And indoor soccer has one tournament before championships. So those three sports will be operating through the winter term.
I'm really happy to hear that. I remember hearing early in the winter that I knew that like the elite sports were playing. I knew at university sports were playing. I wasn't sure what was happening with the college sports, and I think initially they were saying they weren't going to allow college sports to play, and then there was a bit of a backlash. So I'm really happy to hear that basketball's been able to go.
Yeah, that was a bit of a messy situation. The government came out with this elite list of leagues that are allowed to play, and excluded from that was for colleges and universities.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of lobbying going on, but when the government came with their reopening plan and sports were able to resume, we were able to get through that.
That's fantastic. I know there's been a lot of rules and regulations and things. And like for you, how difficult has it been to institute these new health regulations and policies?
It's been tough. I mean, at one point when we weren't having sports playing, but we could have them in the gym and practicing. It looked like we had a basketball player at each net with a mask on. So
Oh man.
at least they're doing something and they're together. But I mean, that was tough. It's hard for coaches to plan practices that are masked and socially distanced when you're trying to build a competitive program. Like that was challenging for sure. Yeah.
I think it is very challenging for the athletes as a whole because they are putting this so much time into it, but they can't get anything because of all the COVID things shutting down and then reopening. It's just so frustrating at times.
It is.
So I have this question for you. With some of the new rules, what students should be looking at when they want to access the shack?
Sure. Great question. So there's a few things. One, just like any other student or staff member, they had to have uploaded their proof to the SOC Safe app. So to get through one of the 3 entrances and through security, you have to show that green QR code or the gold or orange one if it's currently pending. When they get to the shack, they'll need to have their student card to scan in, and that's normal outside of COVID all the time. You have to scan in with your student card just to verify you're a full-time Kingston student. And then as part of this January, the ministry mandate is that you have to show your proof of vaccination QR code, like the actual one you get from the ministry, not the one from the SLC Safe app. We had, this is kind of going back to an earlier question, something we learned when we first opened is for those that received their vaccination outside of Ontario or Canada, the app used to scan those QR codes wasn't scanning them properly. It wasn't working. So we had to find a workaround there for them to get a QR code from local public health. So we're able to navigate that. And then as you come in, you have access to the change rooms, you have access to the showers. We ask people to just be mindful when they're in the change rooms to maintain their distancing, not set up right next to someone else. If there's someone right at your locker, just wait for them to finish before you access your stuff. There's showers, there's washrooms. The group fitness studio is still closed, so no group fitness programming still. It's a relatively tight space, so to maintain distancing and unmasked, you're looking at maybe 3 people plus an instructor in there. So we just felt it's not appropriate to reopen that service. And then when you're in the space, you're free to use any of the equipment that's available, masked all the time while you're in the space, except while you're actively working out. You're running on a treadmill, you're on a bench press, whatever that may be, you can take your mask off. And the rationale there is we would rather people not pass out a lack of oxygen when we're wearing a mask. But the second that you're done, you're set, or you come off the machine and you're going from one place to another, you need to put your mask back on. Lots of spray and wipe down stations throughout so that people are wiping down their equipment after each use. Lots of water bottle filling stations. We've disabled the mouthpieces just to avoid that point of contact. And the space, I can go over the hours, but it is closed for 1 hour Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 for a defogging. So essentially is the YMCA staff set up this little machine and it sends out a mist that sanitizes the entire space, top to bottom. So that's still happening. We're hoping that we can stop that in the next couple of weeks here so that there's no service interruption at all during the week and the fogging just happens after hours.
That's really helpful to know. Thanks. It's funny. I'm for people that don't know, I'm like 6'9", so a bit of a basketball player. Not good, but I like to play anyways, right? And I wanted to play in like one of the KSC leagues this year, but they were saying that you're gonna have to wear your mask your entire time. I'm like, I can't do that. Like, I'm not gonna wear a mask for an hour running up and down a court. Like, that's just not happening. So the fact that you don't have to wear that while working out, it seems a lot more palatable to me, anyways. So again, I love to shoot hoops. Could I use the gym as well as the workout area?
Absolutely. So that's one thing that we have opened up since we came back here in January is we've reopened the gym so students can come in, grab a basketball, grab a volleyball, badminton equipment. There's student staff there to set it all up and have it ready. So yeah, you can for sure come in and enjoy some open gym time. We're trying to set up some programming for resident students because there's some students that played intramurals in the fall and they would love to see that continue in the winter. And we're like, it's kind of tough to do with everything that's uncertain right now. So trying to set up a few things for students to come in where there's some organized, loosely structured programming going on in the gym.
So is there any hours of operation there where you can go and access it at any time?
Yeah, you can pretty much go in there at any time. There will be staff in there in the early morning, I think around 7 or 7:30. And after 5 p.m., it kind of gets taken over by varsity. So basketball teams are in there practicing for between the two teams, probably 3 to 4 hours till about 9 o'clock. And then we typically have external bookings kind of sprinkled in during the week. Not every day during the week, but during this school year on the weekends, there's a lot of external rentals being booked in the space. So there's staff on hand to support those.
Nice. Always just getting some good use then.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So I think that's kind of answered all the questions I had. Trish, is there anything else you'd like to ask?
No, I'm good with it, but I am very much excited, to go and, have to access those services because I've been looking forward to it for so long.
Good. One thing that I didn't mention was students might not even be aware of this is that because our partner, that operator with the YMCA, full-time students can access the YMCA of Kingston at Wright Crescent. So there's full services. They have access to everything, the pool, the gymnasiums, the fitness center, all their services there, they have access to at no charge. So if the shack isn't quite what they're looking for, or they're actually closer to the YMCA, they can access that at any time. They're subject to the same rules as students coming into the shack. You have to show your proof of vaccination, wear a mask and everything else. But just want to make sure students know that they have a choice of facility that they can go to.
I think that's an amazing opportunity for the students.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thanks for pointing that out, Kevin. Is there anything you'd like to say, or like any last little parting words, Kevin?
No, not really. Just hope people tune in to the games this Friday, and when we can host fans in the building, we'll definitely get that word out and hopefully bring some people in and cheer on the Surge. The first time we've put the Surge uniform on for our basketball team, and hopefully they have a great season just like our outdoor sports did. That's
awesome. I'll keep an eye out for that link and try to tune in.
Great.
So thank you so much for coming on today, giving some great information. It's been interesting to hear behind what's kind of gone on to get the shack open. And I hope everybody appreciates the interview and the time that you and the staff are putting in. I know I do. I've been able to make it in much choice so far. Trying to get back in shape after 2 years of COVID. It's been tough, but I know you get there eventually. So thank you very, very much. Please follow us on all of our social media, SoundCloud, Instagram, watch us on YouTube, all that good jazz. There's lots of cool programming coming up from the SA. Keep an eye out for the sports that are coming. Sure, tune into the Surge, and signing up. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Bye.